There are moments in life when everything seems to fall apart. We cry out for answers, grasping for meaning in the silence. But what if the pain, loss, and confusion are not signs of chaos, but rather the workings of something far greater? This is the story of Michael Turner, a man who had everything, lost what he thought he needed, and ultimately found something even more powerful: God's plan. Michael Turner was the kind of man others admired. In his early 40s, he owned a thriving real estate company in Austin, Texas. His spacious and warm home was filled with laughter from his two children, Emma and Jacob, and the gentle kindness of his wife, Rachel. Sundays were reserved for family barbecues, holidays were for traveling, and birthdays were celebrated with grand gestures. He had built his life brick by brick from nothing. Raised by a single mother in a modest neighborhood, he never took shortcuts and believed in integrity, loyalty, and friendship. His circle was large. Friends, colleagues, and business partners meant he was never alone. His phone constantly buzzed with notifications. However, being surrounded by people doesn't always mean being supported. It started subtly. A few deals fell through. A trusted partner backed out of a major investment, and a longtime friend stopped returning calls. At first, Michael brushed it off, reasoning that business had its ups and downs. But then came the lawsuit, a baseless claim filed by someone he considered family. Employees he had mentored turned against him, and investors withdrew their support, citing rumors that Michael hadn't even heard. In the midst of it all, the people who once praised him began to whisper behind his back. Rachel noticed the change first. "You are not sleeping. You are always tense," she said one evening as he stared at his untouched dinner. "Everything I built is crumbling, Rach," he whispered. "And I don't understand why." She reached for his hand and replied, "Maybe it's not falling apart. Maybe it's falling into place." He wanted to believe that everything would be okay. But all he could see was loss. In the months that followed, Michael's life changed dramatically. He sold part of his company to pay legal fees and had to let go of employees he once considered friends. Events he used to be invited to, he now watched from a distance. And the silence, oh, the silence. His phone barely rang. Texts stopped coming. Social invitations dried up. People had moved on, or perhaps they were never truly there for him to begin with. It was in that silence that Michael began to pray. Not the rushed prayers of habit, but deep and honest conversations, sometimes tearful, sometimes angry, and always desperate. "Why, God? Why are you doing this to me? Haven't I lived righteously? Haven't I helped others?" There was no thunderous reply, just a strange sense of peace. He started walking in the mornings, finding solitude along the lake near his home. He picked up journaling and reconnected with old passions, playing guitar, reading scripture, and sitting quietly with his children. While the chaos outside remained, something inside him began to shift. One night, he received a call from a former employee. "Michael, I want to apologize," she said. "I believed lies. I didn't see the truth, and now I regret walking away." Another text followed from a partner who had once betrayed him. "You were always the better man. I was envious. I am sorry." Like puzzle pieces turning right side up, clarity began to form. Michael learned that several people in his inner circle had been undermining him for years. Jealousy, greed, and manipulation hidden behind smiles and toasts. He had been blind to it, too trusting. One afternoon, he spoke to his pastor to share his confusion. The pastor smiled gently and said, "God doesn't remove people to punish you. He removes them to protect you. Sometimes, the path to your next blessing requires a cleansing." That night, Michael sat on his porch watching the sunset, and for the first time in months, he felt grateful. With fewer people in his life but more clarity in his heart, Michael began to rebuild not just his business, but himself. He hired people based on integrity, not just credentials. He partnered with firms that aligned with his values. His company took a different direction, focusing on sustainable development and community housing. Profits grew more slowly but steadily. Rachel started a nonprofit to support women returning to the workforce. Emma began painting, and Jacob launched a podcast about faith and resilience. Their home, once a place of stress, transformed into a haven of purpose. Michael no longer cared about being the most popular man in the room. He cared about being the most authentic. 2 years after the chaos began, Michael stood on a stage receiving a community leadership award. As he looked into the crowd, he saw fewer faces than before, but every one of them mattered. He stepped up to the microphone and spoke simply. "A few years ago, I thought I had lost everything, but I realize now that I lost what was never mine to keep. God took away the noise so I could hear his voice. He removed the wrong people to make space for the right ones, and he allowed the storm to teach me how to stand." The crowd stood in applause, but Michael wasn't seeking validation. He was just thankful that God's plan had been greater than his own. Michael's story isn't unique because he suffered, but because he surrendered. In a world that often measures success by wealth and popularity, he learned that true wealth lies in peace, purpose, and people who genuinely care. If you're going through a season of loss or confusion, maybe it isn't punishment. Maybe it's protection. Maybe, just maybe, God is clearing the path ahead of you. His plan isn't to harm you. It's to grow you, to strengthen you, and to bless you. Sometimes you have to lose the crowd to find your calling. And when that happens, you will understand God wasn't breaking your life. He was building it. Like, comment, and subscribe for more videos.